Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Heather McCarthy, and today's video I'm going to talk about my 5 things I love about homeschooling and what made us decide to keep doing this year and in the future. So as I said, my name is Heather McCarthy. I am a second-year homeschooling mom to my 3.5-year-old daughter. We are homeschooling preschool if you are new to my channel and wondering how we're on year 2. At that age, we started preschool at 2 with Becca's preschool program. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things I love about homeschooling, the 5 things that I really enjoyed homeschooling versus my experience in public school, and why we have decided to keep homeschooling throughout the years, or at least for the foreseeable future. The first thing I really enjoy is the flexibility. So this comes in multiple forms to me, and I think it's kind of listed on my list in multiple different ways. But number one, I love that if we're having a rough morning, if we wake up and Madison is cranky, or if she's just hungry, or if she wants to sleep in, she can. I don't have to wake up and start school right on time. I don't have to wake her up at 6 a.m. to have her at school by 7 or 8 or whatever. We can start school at noon. We can start school at 3 if she wants to, and that's fine. I also like that we have the ability to just take a day off without necessarily like calling it a sick day and without missing anything. I remember when I was in school, I was public schooled, and having to have surgery on my foot and missing like a week of school. And I wasn't able to just like pause school and, go a week longer at the end of the year. I was behind. Work got sent home to me, but lessons didn't. So I had to do all this work at home without ever actually getting taught the lesson. So I love that in our homeschool, if that were to happen, if Madison were to have to take a week off because she was sick, or if I was sick, or whatever, if she had to have surgery or we were moving or anything like that, we can just take a week off. We can take 2 weeks off. Heck, we can take a month off and just kind of tack it on at the end. We can just, skip that month and keep going at the end of the year. So I love that flexibility, and I love that there's never a point where she will be missing something. And that, if Friday's a horrible day, if we have gymnastics and doctor's appointments and I have to go somewhere and like Friday's just a busy, crazy, hectic day, we can skip doing school on Friday and do it on Saturday. So the first thing I love, like I said, is the flexibility. The second thing I love are the amount of options. So as I said, I'm a public school kid, and I struggled with math. I still struggle with math. Math has always been a subject that is so hard for me and that I hate. I hated it in school, in public school. I hated it in college. I just hated it. So what I love with homeschool, and I'm gonna say this particularly for math, but it'll work, it's the same answer for any subject that my daughter struggles with, there are so many options. And I feel like 10, 20 years ago, nobody would have said this, right? Like there weren't options for homeschooling. Now, there are so many different curriculums and so many different curriculums that teach in different ways that I know that if she struggles with one curriculum, we can switch to a different one and try it and see if that helps her better. If she's more of a visual learner, we can find a program that caters to visual learning. If she's a kinesthetic learner, we can find a program that caters to that. And I love that you can find a program for almost any subject that caters to your learning ability and your way of learning. In public school, I feel like they really couldn't do that. There was the one math curriculum that the school had bought, and that was the one curriculum that you were going to use. And if it didn't work for you, too bad, too sad, study harder. Yeah. As I said, I have always struggled with math, and I still struggle with math. And I feel a lot of it goes back to shitty foundations in elementary school and never adequately learning the basics of math to be able to do the harder parts of math. So I love that if she struggles with multiplication in one style of book, we can try learning it in a different style and see if she'll learn it better. My number 3 thing that I love about homeschooling is kind of goes back to that flexibility. There will never be gaps in her education. We are a military family. So being a military family, we move usually every 3 or 4 years. We've been here for 4 at this point. We're supposed to be here for 6 now. But yeah, moving so often, and I grew up that same way. My dad's a retired Marine. I grew up moving every 2 or 3 years until I was about 10. So when I look back at my education, there are gaps. There are times when we were moving mid-school year, and when you move, you almost inherently have to take time off, right? Like you leave one school, you have to drive to your next duty station. You know, you don't really always get re-enrolled right away. Sometimes there's a leave in the middle. Like you can take up to a month of leave between bases. So if they take leave in the middle, you're missing even more school, which I think my parents didn't do that because we didn't want to miss school. But sometimes you don't have an option if you have to find housing and whatnot. I had gaps in my education. They weren't huge ones because I was younger. And like I said, my parents didn't take those huge long breaks between duty stations because they knew that we needed to go back to school. I never learned uppercase cursive. I am old enough that cursive was a mandatory part of education. When I was a kid, you did it in 3rd grade and it was just, there was no options. So I learned lowercase letters twice because when I was in school in Virginia, they taught lowercase first and then they taught uppercase. And in New Hampshire, they did it opposite. They taught uppercase and then they taught lowercase. I love how using the same curriculum here in Florida versus wherever we move next versus wherever we move after that, using the same curriculum throughout the year, we will all never have a gap like that. There will never be something that she didn't learn because we were moving at the point when they were teaching it or because they taught things in a different order in a different school district than they do in the school district we live in. So I feel like that's a really unique situation, kind of more unique to a military family, and probably not something a lot of people think about. But if you do plan on moving, or if you have a career that makes you move around a lot, I feel it is a good option just because it gives you that flexibility to have a consistency in education that certainly didn't exist in school districts 30 years ago when I was a kid, and in my opinion, still doesn't exist today. Number 4, the 4th thing I love about homeschool is I actually love watching her grow and learn. I love that I can see the little things that she's learning and I can see the difference from day to day, week to week, year to year. I feel like in public school, you learn, but the parent doesn't really always see it. Like I feel like they get the benefits of it, obviously, because you know more and you can do more. But I don't know that they always see like, oh wow, she knows like 10 more words today than she did yesterday. So I love being a little bit more hands-on and being able to be like, you know what, a week ago you couldn't count to 15 and now you are. And that's cool. So I really like being able to see the progress and being like hands-on with the progress. And that might be me just being a mom or just being silly, but I like that. I like that there's more hands-on and it's not just the school send home report cards and you're shocked when your kid gets a bad grade because you didn't know that they weren't learning what they were supposed to be, you know? I feel like that happens so often. You come home with a C or a D or something like that, and your parents are like, why did this happen? Like, as a parent, like, why are you doing so bad in school? Like, what happened? Because they never really realized that you were actually struggling with what you were learning, because I feel like a lot of teachers don't reach out until there's actually a problem, or at least in my day, they didn't. So yeah, I like that. If there's a problem, I'm gonna know pretty early that she's not grasping the concepts and know that I need to either change up the way it's being taught or do extra work on that concept or something like that before we get actually a bad grade from it. And the 5th thing that I love about homeschool is honestly the lack of peer pressure and the lack of bullying and that kind of stuff. I grew up in a school, and I'm talking more high school at this point, but I grew up in a school where there was a lot of violence. There was a lot of fighting. There were a lot of arrests. We had one kid almost beaten into a coma. And I cannot tell you a week that I would come to school and not see somebody taken out in cuffs. I was kind of a different student where I got to go between 2 high schools because of a situation where I lived was going through at the time. So I drove back and forth between 2 different high schools. And almost every time I came back to my original school, I would see a kid getting arrested. They would do it during class so that all the students didn't see it. But those of us who commuted between schools always saw it. I'm really glad that with homeschool, she won't be seeing that constantly. She won't be seeing the violence. I remember in 7th grade seeing girls fighting to the point that they had to close down a wing of the school because there was so much blood. Like, when I think about it, like, I don't ever want my daughter to see that. I should have never seen that. So I can only imagine it's gotten worse. Like I said, like, I'm in my mid-30s. So I can only imagine stuff has gotten worse since then. And I don't want her to see that level of violence and ill behavior that I saw. And also the peer pressure. So obviously we all know that's a major issue with peer pressure and bullying, and it's even gone into cyberbullying via Facebook and stuff. And I'm glad that I have the ability to kind of control that more than a normal parent does, or a non-homeschooling parent does. A non-homeschooling parent, you can go to the school, but from what I've heard from a lot of my friends, the school just don't really do much about it. And what can they really do about it? So I love that I can keep her home and kind of protect her from that. Like, I know that sounds like I'm saying I want to shelter my daughter, and that's not the case. Like, I don't want to shelter her, but she shouldn't be in a learning environment that is violent and mean and basically unconducive to learning, in my opinion. So I love that we can kind of keep that out of our classroom, out of our education. If she enjoys something that is geeky, she's not going to be made fun of for enjoying it like a lot of kids were when I was in school. I really like that. I love that we can just kind of keep her away from that. And I will say, having talked to some older homeschool children, because I work with the middle schoolers at our church, or I volunteer with them, and having talked to a lot of them that are homeschooled even, their self-confidence is different than the kids that aren't homeschooled. Like, you ask them, have you ever felt peer pressure? Have you ever felt the need to conform to be like someone else? And they sit there and they look at each other and they go, no. And to me, that's kind of amazing, because me and the other leader were both public schooled. We were both like, wow, we felt that like immensely at your age. So it's amazing to me that they don't feel it at that age. That was really the big kick in the butt for me when I was like, okay, we're homeschooling now. You know, it's cute, it's preschool, it's cute, it's fun. And the big kick in the butt for me for like, maybe I want to do this for the long haul was, because I was always kind of like, we'll do it while Ryan's in the Navy. We'll do it for elementary school. When Ryan gets out of the Navy, you know, we'll reconsider once we've settled down in one area. But now I'm kind of like, let's go for high school. Let's go straight through. Seeing these girls' confidence that girls when I was in high school didn't have. Or if they had it for the wrong reasons. Yeah, seeing these girls and how confident they are and how just they are strong in their personalities and they don't feel like they need to be somebody else or conform to what somebody else wants them to be really made me be like, I want my daughter to be like that. So those are the 5 reasons why I love homeschooling. I'm sure everyone's answers are different to this question. I'm sure even my husband's would be different. Comment down below the 5 reasons why you love homeschooling your kids and let me know, because I wonder if they're different or if we all kind of have similar answers. I would just love to know. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you are new, please make sure you hit that subscribe button to see new content every Tuesday and Friday. Also, if you're new, comment down below and introduce yourself. I love getting to know everyone on this channel and just getting to know you and your children and a little bit about your homeschool journey. So that is it for this video, obviously. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one on Friday. Bye, guys.